Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Ignite Your Heart and Soul right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. My wonderful guest today is Ali Levine. We're going to be talking about finding your true homeostasis in the body to allow that authenticity, that soul design of you. We're going to do that through breath work. And why is breath work so important? Well, if any of you are going through a transition at the present moment, or just feel that whatever you try to organize or control gets taken out of your hands, just take a breath. It's all happening for a reason. She says, being your most authentic highest self and most embodied self, breathe into your true authentic soul being. Come home to yourself through the breath, going from being a burned out celebrity wardrobe stylist and a stylist for the stars to a certified breathwork coach, embodiment teacher, and intuitive. She went from living in a place of fear and high control, flight and fight, and the nervous system to receive and finding true homeostasis in her body, finding peace and joy. More faith and foundation all around the world, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually aligned and centered. Instead of running from the body, and all I was feeling, she says, I faced it. I took my power back in my life. The authority within us, when we become embodied and reach this homeostasis, it all starts with the nervous system. When you are regulated, you really are real. Period. And she wishes to share this so that we actually know from a place of ego and pleasing others and being lost in who we truly are, that fight or flight and not living in your own happiness and authenticity, living for others' happiness and never taking a breath, trying to run away from your fears and limited beliefs, and instead of feeling your numb self. We have to feel in order to heal. Now, being in our body, always trying to jump out of the body and get stuck in the mind, receiving the homeostasis, that divine way where we created to be surviving to the thriving life. So we're going to talk about how this breath work works. I love when people have what I call the pivot, the redirection. And, you had this redirection where I'm just burnt out. I can't do this anymore. Why am I doing this? And while we're asking ourselves that question, we can, our breath holds, right? It holds. Why? And then in that coming down of, we start to see the bigger picture, don't we? And that's really
Yes,
when
we
we
do.
wake up. So
Yeah.
what was that moment like for you, Ellie?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the beautiful introduction. Hearing you listen, I'm like, ooh, I got all the igniting and tingles inside. So thank you. I'm so honored to be here. So yeah, I think that I mean there were many moments, right? But I think the first one was really just when I started realizing meditation was actually working in my life, and just being able to take that deep conscious breath and actually feel centered and
Mhm.
receive that homeostasis, like that moment of reflection, hearing the birds chirping out my window, feeling and seeing the sun like coming up, which right, the sun rises every day, right? But there was something magical. There was something really catching my attention of like, there it was, and the birds are chirping, and everything just felt so light and
Mm.
magical. And it was so simple, but it
Yeah,
caught my attention so deeply.
you said a magic word here. It's so simple.
Yes.
We're the ones that like to overcomplex everything. We like to, highfalutin everything, is bigger and it's so complicated. Why? Why? You
Because
know,
we as the human complicate it.
we like to complicate things, and really the answers are in the simplicity. As you
Yes.
said, the birds singing, right? 4 o'clock in the morning, my birds are singing outside. I'm still in a sleepy state. It's just like the birds are kind of programming me for the day. This is your day.
Yeah.
It's going to be this, and it's going to be so joyful when you wake up, and
Exactly. And you're
nature
just so
speaks to us all the
connected to
time.
nature, right? Like
Yes,
when you hear that and you're in that homeostasis, right? You're so connected to nature that you recognize, like, oh, wow, I'm connected to you and you're connected to me and you're sending me signs and I'm
yes,
receiving that energy, right? And it just starts to become like exactly, even if you're not fully awake, but you're just
mm,
waking up in the day, you're like, ah, it's going to be a beautiful day
yeah,
because I just feel it. I receive it, right? And when you spoke to, the chaos and
mm,
the overcomplication that we all do, which obviously anyone listening or watching, like no judgment whatsoever.
no,
Hello, I've been there for many, many years and I'm still human and have my moments, right?
yes,
But it's like understanding that this is why for me I talk about the nervous system so deeply because I think especially now with where we are in the collective, so many are trying to figure out why they can't
mm,
get these thoughts out of their mind or
mm,
why they're swirling in what I like to call the monkey brain, this system that just keeps going and going. And half these thoughts, more than half, aren't even ours. And we're
mm,
swirling in them and we're stuck in them, and usually a not so pretty cycle. And it's like when you get out of the mind and you just drop into the body, it's so simple. It sounds so
y-
complicated to like think I have to get out of my mind. Oh my gosh, I have to quiet down. But it's like, no, just get into the body. That is your
yes,
divine channel. That is your messenger. That's your divine vessel. And it's speaking to you at all times. But if you
mm,
don't drop in and you don't have that heart check in and then drop in and allow the nervous system to come to that homeostasis that you spoke to, you'll just keep rolling in the
yeah.
mind and you'll be stuck in the chaos.
And we get so used to the chaos we don't realize we're in it.
Oh,
We
yeah.
get so used to short breath we don't realize we're breathless.
Hmm.
We're so used to being in this state of being, but then that transpires into breakdowns, health breakdowns, mental breakdowns, anxiety, even violence, because it's the emotion has got to go somewhere when we're
Yeah.
not breathing, not just with our lungs, but with our thoughts, with our heart, with our soul, with our spirit. We are just so crunched. And when you're crunched, you can't take a breath.
Yeah, you're
And
constricted in
absolutely.
your heart chakra. Everything's
Mhm.
tightened and compressed. Exactly. And you're pulled back and it's like, oh, I don't know what to do. I mean, of course, so many end
Yeah.
up losing it because, you're not connected to your heart center. You're not connected to that, main space that is you, that true homeostasis
Mm.
of you. And so exactly, it's like, and that, our emotions are just energy in motion. I remind everybody of that. I'm like, and it has to go somewhere, right?
Yes.
It's like this energy has to move, it has to transmute. It can't be created, it can't be destroyed, but it's got to move, it's got to transmute. If you're holding and holding and holding it, and then our nervous system is essentially the operating system of our body, and you're just sending these signals over and over again that I'm in chaos, I'm in fight or flight, I don't know how to move through this. So then you lock up. You move into
Yeah.
full stress. You move into the body, then going into disalignment, into disease, disease
Yes.
body, right? And you
We
move into
fry our circuit.
exactly, we fry our circuit. Exactly. And then we wonder why, we have all these symptoms
Yeah.
going on and, we're having all these breakdowns and struggles. And I mean, I know I did when I went through it. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, the body's been talking to you the entire
Yeah.
time and you've been ignoring it. You've just been going, going, going because, like you said, you get so used to
Hmm.
survival mode and you get so used to the just I don't take a conscious breath, I just shallow breathe because this is how I am wired and operated. And I do believe too, for the last hundreds of years we've been programmed to
Yes.
believe we
Yes.
operate in survival mode. And that is now, thank God, starting to change.
Yeah.
People are starting to realize I don't want to live in survival mode.
No.
I was created to be abundant. I was created to
Hmm.
thrive in all areas
Hmm.
and pillars of my life. And how do I start to thrive in my life now? And that's where I think we're starting to really see these shifts in the collective. Why the burnout? Why the extra
Yeah.
stress? Why the chaos? Because they're all starting to wake up and realize something's not working. This program I'm running on is about to fizz out.
Yes, it combusts. Um,
Combust. Yes.
yes, and it is. We're seeing this, like when we're seeing the wars, when we're seeing the
Yeah.
diseases, when we're seeing, the angst politically, all this angst that we're seeing everywhere else is a form of combustion.
Yes.
And from it, I call it the nudge, nudge, wink, wink, cosmic 2x4. We've all had the nudge, nudge, wink, wink with the universe. Have I got your attention? Hey,
Yeah.
I'm over here.
Paying attention yet? Yeah.
And then he go, whackaroo, have I got your attention now?
Right, it's like, why
Right?
don't you sit? It was like me, and I love you said the same thing, the metaphorical two by four to the head, right? It's like
Yes.
Do I have your attention
Yeah.
now? Now you are like literally flat on the ground. You
Yeah.
cannot move. Are the lights on? Are we paying
Yes.
attention? That was me. You know, it's like anyone listening, like when I went through my journey, I kept getting nudges, kicks, like
Yes.
twitch, like
Yes.
just constant. And it was like, la la la, I'm not paying attention. I'm not, I have no interest in subscribing to whatever's going on until literally I had to sit in my shit. Like literally.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you do, nothing's going to work, and you are going to be stuck here until you start to actually do the work. So, are you paying attention yet? Are you
Yes.
ready?
And you see, this is what kind of separates us from, those that are still kind of stuck in humanoid fashion to those that are awakening to the heart, soul, and spirit and realize that is our compass, that is our governing, that is our true consciousness. We're just in these beautiful vessels having a human experience,
Yeah.
but we need to be attached and come from that higher consciousness. There are many people that do not want to do the work, that
Correct.
do not want to step into this consciousness because it does require you to participate. It does
Oh, it's
require
work.
you to take responsibility to do the work. Is it worth it? 1 trillion%.
Oh, I mean,
Absolutely.
beyond. I mean, I
But
tell everyone, I'm like, doesn't matter how many dark night
yeah,
of the soul, it's worth it every single
absolutely.
time. It is because you're choosing you, right? It's like we
Yes,
start to
yes.
realize that we've been a victim in our own lives in every way, shape, or form. And I know that can be triggering for a lot of people, but we are. We're a victim of our circumstance. We're,
Yep.
a victim of what's going on, whether we choose it or not. And then it's like, what are you going to choose from that moment on? Are you going to stay in the victim mode? I did for years, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
until I finally, came to that awakening of like, this is not working and this is not what my soul wants. This is feeding the ego of Ali, and this is
Yeah.
not actually the soul of who I am,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it was like that burnout that then led to that ego death of who I was as a celebrity wardrobe stylist, of the Hollywood pleasing to everyone to
Yeah.
the stars and all the things, right?
The
To come
expectation of
down.
you.
Right, exactly. The
Yes.
expectations, the how is she going to show up? How is she going to look? All of the things to,
Waiting for the judgment to be thrown at you, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. And till it finally came to a place of like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not happy. Like, I'm making
Yes.
everybody else happy. I'm making
Yeah,
everybody else look amazing, but like, I'm dying inside. Like, what,
exactly.
what's going on, right? And it's like when you get to that place of like, oh, I'm dying inside. It's like, oh, my soul is dying. Like
Yeah.
something is really not working, and that's when you really start to do the inward work, right? Of like, how did I get here?
Hmm.
What's going on, right? And it's all, of course, divinely orchestrated this way for us to go through this awakening to actually take our power back in our lives. But it starts with that awareness and that
Hmm.
authority to choose. I do have the authority within me. It's
Yeah.
the way I was created divinely, but I have to choose to take my power back in this life and actually start to step into that. And that's where the work comes, right?
Empower yourself. Stop giving your power away,
Yes,
right? And
that's
and
right.
the thing is, yes, it can have some, arduous moments where it's like, oh, I thought I was coming from the pain. Why are you putting
Oh,
me
yes,
through the pain? But
yes,
then when we've gone through to the other side, we understand why we needed to go through that. It
yeah,
awakens something inside of us. It switches certain things on. It opens up our senses and makes us sensual to life. A
yes.
lot of people, sensual is just sexual. No, sensual is you are in tune to your senses and you
Mhm.
are feeling life. You are connected. And one of the biggest problems as human beings is we've lost our connection,
Completely.
to our soul, to our spirit, and a lot of that is to do with the industrial age, the educational age, where
Yes.
people used to have to work with nature to
Mhm,
survive. They
mhm.
had to trust their instincts and be in tuned. And now we've kind of handed everything on a plate and an app that,
Right.
they're disconnected from it and they don't know how to tune in and connect in. That was my chapter in our Forgotten Children book, the anthology that I put out on the raising of our children, because we're raising disconnected adults
Mhm.
because we're not paying attention to our children and what they need now, educationally, societally, family orientation, just the liberation of who they are as a spirit and a soul. And if we don't invest in our children today, we are going to have even more dysfunctional adults tomorrow. And we're
Oh, for
seeing
sure.
evidence of that now. And it's like, I don't know which creatures kind of turn around and eat their own tails, but I feel in many ways we're doing that.
Mhm, mhm.
It's we're being so self-destructive without actually realizing we're hurting ourselves.
Oh yeah, we're completely self-destructive, and
Mm.
we don't realize it until we get to a place where we're mad at ourselves, we're angry at ourselves, we're shaming ourselves and judging
Hmm.
ourselves. And by that point, we've done so much damage. And not to say
Yes.
that we can't change it, but we're so deep in the wounds that we're like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Why am I here? And I
And a
love that you
band-aid ain't going to fix it.
right, exactly. Yeah, that massage, go get that massage. That was me, when I went through my journey. I was like, I'll go get a massage. I'll
Mm.
go get a facial, like all these things, right? To like again to
Superficial,
so
yes.
superficial. Oh, and I would feel good for a day.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
good for a few days, and I'm like, oh, good, things are moving along. Here we go. And then like a few more days later, boom, next thing
yeah.
coming why are we back in this wave of pain? What's happening? And it was like over and over and over again, right? And so it's like again, like doing the inner work. But I love that you spoke to the children because obviously I'm a mom, for those that don't know, three, and I have two girls and a boy. And breath work for them has even been so helpful. It's something I teach them. I teach them meditation, I
Hmm.
teach them breath work, I teach them energy work, I teach them how to we go out into nature every day and we just like they hold the plants and smell the flowers, and we talk about the colors, and we look at the bugs, and they hold and let the bugs. Earlier today I was outside with them, and they were literally like these little roly-poly caterpillars crawl over them, and they're like, look, it's doing this, and it's so amazing and fascinating. Again, so simple to
Yeah,
watch how children take on the world and the way that they look at everything with such pure innocence, and
yeah, I
how
know.
they see everything, how
I know.
divine it actually is. Honestly, it's such a reflection for me. I mean, being a mom of three and being an awakened mom, like I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of days where it's a hard reflection for me because I'm
Mm.
like, oh, okay, that's not where I'm checked in. I need to get checked in there.
Yes,
Like they show me
yes.
those mirrors, but at the same time, it's so beautiful in the teachings and in the relationship I'm growing with them because I'm teaching them like how to use their breath to help them regulate and
Mm.
be able to move through, and different energy modalities, and just how to center and come back to their heart space. And it's so beautiful. I mean, even my oldest, who's just turned 6, Amelia, like I had a neighbor tell me that, that one of their daughters was having a hard day. And she told her, it's okay. Just breathe and come into your heart space and feel your heart. And she goes, and it was so beautiful to watch. And she felt so much better. And I'm like, that makes me cry
Yeah,
because just
yes.
those little moments, right? Like you're really showing them how to have those tools. Think about it as we as adults, right? We've again established we've been in survival mode for so long. If we all had those
Yeah.
tools, we would be in such a different place. And so it's like, yes, this conscious awareness of
Hmm.
how to, teach them those tools. And also for you, and we speak to embodiment, how to embody that so that they see that. They see what you're doing, they see how you are responding and not reacting all the time,
Right.
right, and catching yourself, and being aware, and also forgiving yourself and being vulnerable and letting them see that too. There's times where, like I said, I'm human and I have moments and I get crazed, and I've started crying in front of them, and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm overwhelmed. I'm not using my tools at the moment, and I just need to release. And also it's good to release. This is the energy moving through us that we don't want to hold and be stuck
Mm.
in. And I've encouraged them, and like
To
be in a
have those moments, yeah.
space to have those moments to release, to allow. And I think for so long as adults, another reason we're all so constricted and so, oh, I don't know what to do. We don't allow ourselves to have emotions. We
No, we
just
don't. And that's where
hold.
that great movie Inside Out is really great when
Yes,
Inside Out 2 coming out,
totally.
which is it, it's wonderful for kids. It teaches us, but well, boy, is it a reminder for us.
For us
Absolutely.
as adults, yeah, of like
Yeah.
just
But
have
also
those
what you're
moments.
teaching your children is not just the skills how to manage it themselves, but how to have empathy and compassion for other people and remind other people, I'm here for you. Just take a breath.
Yes.
I've got a gorgeous picture of my 3-year-old grandson hugging a tree with the most divine look on his face.
Oh,
Right. I have a little Down syndrome 13-month-old grandson who is just what I mean, he's just had pneumonia and he rushed off to hospital for something else. And he doesn't know he's sick. He
yeah,
doesn't know. He's just such a happy little boy. In any achievement, he's got this huge, big smile, and he's so present. And it kind of is a reminder to us is that we're not guaranteed the next moment.
that's right.
Today, right now, this second, what we're doing here right now is what counts. Let's
Yeah.
be present. And instead, how many times do you see people, they're talking, but their thoughts are over there,
Hmm.
right? And it's like, bring it back home, be
Yeah.
present, eye contact, soul
Eye
contact,
contact, soul
heart
contact,
contact.
yes. The eyes of the soul, right? Like that
Yes.
connection. And
Mm,
I know that was something too as I awakened. It was funny. I started catching myself and observing myself. I think it's a huge piece when we awaken, right? We come into this place where we're doing the inner work and we start to see how things don't resonate anymore.
mhm.
Our perspective shifts, everything starts to shift. And part of that shift for me was like I realized I wasn't ever looking in anyone's eyes. I was doing exactly what you were saying. It's like listening, but like over here and
Yeah.
not fully tuned in. And then when people started doing it to me, I was like, wait a second, I need you here. I need you looking at me. I need you listening and tuned in, and it was something I had to work on deeply, in my relationships of like really that contact and how important it is to be present and like connecting in that way, and again it's so simple and we just forget the simplicity of
Yes.
these tools that we have, and all of it is within us. I mean, our breath is within us. It's literally within who we are, and we forget to come back to the space. It's like expand your lungs, expand your life. Like, let yourself be more present and land in the body to actually receive the gifts and the wisdom that are all around you. But when we're in it and we're in the chaos, or if you're someone who's listening who's kind of just starting to wake up and you're not fully there yet, like that's okay. It starts with the awareness and just taking that one conscious breath to start to move yourself back into the
Yeah.
knowing and the remembrance and the homeostasis, like we said.
I think this is an important point to make here. We get so infused of where we are, and we want everyone to feel like this. And we realize there are some people that are just learning to stand,
Yeah, that's why I
right?
said that. I got that nudge from my angels
Yeah.
of like, so many are not here yet, and it's intimidating for those
Yes.
who are seeing us who are on the whole other side. But by the way, we've both been through so many dark nights of the soul before we got here, and we continue to do the work, and we
Exactly.
continue
And
to
it doesn't
show
mean we
up.
won't have more dark
Oh
nights.
my gosh, of course we
We
will. I
just
mean,
know we just know what to do with them now.
we just do it exactly. We know
Yeah.
what to do. We know how to surrender and how
Hmm.
to move through and flow and embody, right? I mean, even, silly example, but like yesterday we thought we were supposed to record and it wasn't that, it was today. And it was like, where are you? What do you mean? And that could have easily been, had we not been embodied in our practices and, what we do for our work, we could have easily gotten annoyed with one another. We could have easily just, canceled the show. These
Yeah.
things happen all the time in real life situations, right? But it was like, oh, with ease and grace and love, we're in a full moon, there's a lot happening, you just had to move.
Which ball? Which ball? And you know what? Sometimes just
Well,
drop the
dropping
ball.
the
You can pick it up.
exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I say that all the time in motherhood. It's like
Yeah.
there's so many balls. Don't drop the
Mm,
glass balls, drop the plastic balls, right?
yes.
And so it's like same thing, it's like, okay, we'll just reschedule. But that sounds so simple, but it's like having that ease and grace for ourselves,
Yeah.
like just starting there when you're just starting to kind of move into this space of awakening of like it's one conscious breath to start.
Yeah.
It's one moment of awareness. It's one connection. It's one conversation of looking truly in the eyes and feeling the homeostasis in the heart space, right? This is where we get to start to actually move into this awakening, this opening, this true coming back, this remembrance of who we are as a divine soul.
And being kind to ourselves.
Oh, yes. Yes.
We can't show love and kindness to other people if we don't do it to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The
And I think
embodiment
that's kind
piece,
of where it
right?
starts is that
Yeah.
kindness to self. Because yes, you suddenly awaken that you've been living a lie. You suddenly
Mhm.
awaken that your entire life is to being to please everyone else, and you've let yourself down. And in letting yourself down, you're actually letting your loved ones down because they're
Yeah.
not getting the authentic you. Don't
Right.
turn around and punish yourself. You've already done that.
Yeah. For
This is
so
the
long.
time to love and care and go, I'm so sorry you've taken this path for these many years. We're
Mhm.
awakening now. Let me hold you along this journey. Let me be kind to you. This is okay at these first few steps in your life to be selfish.
Yeah.
In fact, it's actually imperative that you are.
Yeah, so you go, oh my gosh, when I went through my awakening, Sarah, I remember like first off, I had so many obviously vibrate out of my orbit because I was changing and shifting, and that's normal, right? We have so much fall apart and shift because it's meant to. And then the other side of that, like you said, of the going inward, I did. I was an extrovert for so long. I was out at every party. I was doing everything. And all of a sudden I was like, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna be a hermit. I'm gonna just be, everybody calling me and texting me and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I just need to be. I just need to be by myself. And it's
Yes.
a weird feeling in the beginning, especially if you're an
Yes.
extrovert, right? But it was like,
Yes.
needed it. I knew I needed it. And honestly, over these last couple of years, I've cocooned a lot. And I think about, butterflies, right? Like they go into these beautiful
Yeah.
little chrysalis and these cocoons, and and they don't know they're gonna crisp up to dust, and then they're gonna become
No.
this beautiful butterfly with these beautiful wings and colors and this amazing mystical creature essentially. But they don't know what the process is gonna be. They just
Right.
trust, right? They just allow the trust fall, and they literally make it, and their own chrysalis, and they get in, and they move through. And it's like I had to remind myself, as all the different dark nights of the soul and the things I was going through, is like I need to allow the going inward. Like going out is not helping me at all. I need to
No,
come
no. And
home. And
that's what caused the
yes,
problem in the first place,
yes,
right? The outside
exactly.
living, not the inside out living. And
Mhm.
the other thing about going through it, kind of I draw the analogy to being pregnant,
Yes.
right? The morning sickness, and then as the belly grows, the backache, and then the feet swelling, and then of course the actual labor,
Oh yes, the
and it
actual
but
labor.
then you get to hold yourself. You
Yeah,
are a new birth. You are a new light, right? This is your light. This is your birth. This is your time. You're not here to be a servant to anyone else. We are here to be of service to one another, but
yes,
not to be a servant,
so
right?
true.
And so, we're birthing ourselves again anew. So when you hold a newborn child, you are delicate, you are loving, you are nurturing, you are pouring love into that child. So why can't we to ourselves?
That's right, exactly. And honestly, it was very hard for me at first to love myself, especially when
Mhm.
I went through the postpartum depression and anxiety after having a C-section after 42 hours, my first daughter, and a very traumatic birth for those that don't know. And I remember looking at my scar in the mirror every day and shaming myself and like, oh, your body failed you, and
Oh,
oh, this scar, this
yeah.
scar is
Oh
awful,
gosh.
and I just it was horrible. And I'm being
I know.
honest. I mean, I was horrible to myself, and
Ah,
then I wondered why my body started inflaming so much
mm,
more when I'm supposed to be healing after
yeah.
having the baby. And then my face was breaking out with cystic acne like a teenager. I mean, it was crazy what my body was doing. But we go back to the mind body connection, and my body
Yes.
was expressing everything
Get
that I was
over yourself. You've just
expressing.
had a baby.
Right. Yes, exactly. But you don't think that way, right? You
No.
think like, especially in the industry I was in, it was like
Yes.
bounce back, get it together, let's go, and it was like that wasn't happening for me, right? And so it was so much of that love and kindness, like you said, to drop in. But that
Yeah.
didn't come for me until I truly learned how to start to center myself and really like quiet the noise. And that's where breathwork became so powerful for me,
Yeah.
because I know so many do have trouble with meditation. I love it
Mm,
now, but I didn't
mm,
back then. I know some of you have trouble finding that homeostasis, that quieting. And this is where breath work, becomes such a powerful but yet simple tool when we learn how to use it and come back to that homeostasis, so we can not only just quiet the noise, but we can show what you were saying of that love, that compassion, that true
mhm.
who we are. We are divine love beings as we come into
Yes.
the earth, returning to that and remembering that and what that does, and how that ignites a fire in our soul, and that light comes on again. We actually become brighter than we were before, because we're coming back to the remembrance of who we are when we first came into this world. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very powerful.
It is, and we're very powerful.
We are. Yes.
We were conditioned, and when this is the thing, when you have your own children, you are there, and of course mine are in their mid 30s and 40s now, and I've got grandchildren. I had to wait 66 years to become a grandmother, though. So, but finally, here I am,
Yay, we're here.
loving every moment of it. In fact, I've got them this afternoon, and
Oh,
the beauty of it now is I can just watch them. Yes, I'm going to change diapers, I'm going to feed them, I'm going to play with them, etc. I'm not um, in charge 24/7. And when you
mm,
have your children, my daughter said to me, Mom, how did you do it with three? Because my husband was not a hands-on guy,
sure.
right? It's like late night work. And so it was a question of looking and listening to what you were saying, going, do you know, I don't know. You
Yeah,
just did it.
you just did
You
it.
did what was needed in the next moment. You just got on
Sure.
with it. Now, part of that was just so very organic. Need to
Hmm.
be fed, need to be changed, need to be this, need to be that. You
Right.
just are in the moment. You're so present. You haven't got time to think
Oh no,
forward or
right. You're
think
just
past. You're
whatever
so
is the
present.
need they
Yeah.
need. You're just Yeah.
Yes. And so, you remember those beautiful moments that stand out, but the day to day you don't because you're
Oh
so
no.
busy doing it,
Yes. Yes.
right? And then suddenly the years go by and they're all at school and you're going, hang on, I can actually have a cup of coffee or go out for a coffee with a friend and I haven't got a kid or hanging around me. And then
Yeah.
you start coming back into self. All right. But where if there is the natural recourse of being a mother or mothering oneself because
Yeah.
that motherhood, that's the gift of being a woman, that motherhood.
Oh,
And what's
it's
so
such a
beautiful
gift.
is seeing so many fathers stepping into and breaking the mold of fatherhood. I have a
Mhm.
son-in-law that is absolutely fantastic as a father. And I mean, both my daughter and my son-in-law bought me this house so I could be close to them. How lucky am I? And I get on
Yeah, so blessed.
exceptionally well with him. But I'm seeing this so much now where the fathers are taking that used to be traditional mother role. I'm going, but I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
I
It's beautiful.
want to be connected. I don't want to just come home at the end of the day, pat Joey on the head, and then see him at the weekend and play ball for 5 minutes, and that's it. I want to be a
I want to
part
be a
of the
part of
children's
it.
life.
Yeah.
This
Hmm.
is the shift we're seeing where people are going, but hang on, yeah, I could go to that party, I could go to that club, I could go to do this and that, but I really want to go home and snuggle my wife or snuggle my children or
Yeah.
even play with the dog.
Yeah.
People are just seeing what's really important and realize that we've been living a very shallow life for so long. Who dictated this life to us that that was important?
Yeah.
Who told us that we had to be rich and famous, thin and perfect? What's perfect? We have perfect moments in time. There is
Yeah.
no such thing as perfection. It's
No, not at
perfect
all.
moments. That's what makes them so special,
Hmm.
right? Our imperfections are what makes us so beautiful.
Yeah, the imperfections and the that we deem as flaws are the most
Yes, that
beautiful.
makes us
I mean,
flawsome.
yeah, exactly. Literally, it's like that's what makes us so different than from someone else, right? It makes us shine, and what we are able, our medicine that we're able to give to someone else, we're the medicine to one another when we start to recognize, that
Yes.
magic within, right? And so, yeah, and I agree with you. There's such a shift. And I mean, my husband, I give him so much credit. He is so hands on. We both work from home, but he's so
Mm.
helpful and jumps in with our children and plays with them and is so hands on and like same thing, like loves to cuddle them and is so just in the moment with them.
Yes.
And it's beautiful to see and to take in. And I do believe a lot of those shifts are happening. And I believe we're going
Hmm.
to continue, like you said, we're starting to really recognize what
Mm.
is actually important versus what's not important. What's been distracting me in my life? I mean, hello, I was somebody word of stylist, red bottom shoes, red carpets, TV, glam, the works you can imagine, hopping
And it
queen.
all has its place. Glam
Yes, it does.
has its place, right? But it shouldn't be our identity.
Right. And that's where I feel so many of us, I know for me, that's exactly what it was. It was like
Hmm.
when I had that ego death, it was like, oh, this is the morning of Ali as that. And I have to even catch myself these days when people will say, well, what do you want me to introduce you as? Or what? I'm like, honestly, I'm Ali. And they're like, yeah, but
Yes.
what title? And I'm like, oh, that's fine. I could tell you different things I do, but I'm like, I really want to make sure I embody, like, I'm Ali. Like, I
Mm.
own that. I'm thrilled to be me, and like that's who I am, and I love me, right?
Mm.
And I think that took me a long time to come to that place as well of like truly loving me as a soul, all full, every single fragment that I brought back to me that I lost along the way,
Mm.
right? And so it's like understanding that we all have, these messes, but there's a message in the message. And
Yes,
like
yes.
finding that homeostasis within us is what lets us come home to ourselves. Why I say to everyone, come home to yourself through your sacred breath. Because how can you be real? How can you be
Yeah,
authentic? How can you show up in the brightest light that you want to when you're in pure chaos and you're in a fight or
yeah.
flight system, which is a sympathetic nervous system, and you're just in total spin out, like, or maybe you're even in functional freeze, or fawn people pleasing. There's so many different levels, right, of where we're in this in our nervous system. And it's like I tell everyone, I'm like, you have to understand, you can't be judging yourself that you weren't real or you weren't authentic. You didn't know how to be. You were programmed, like you
Yeah.
said, everything that was told to you of what was going on and what to expect. And now you're just starting to take that power back and realize how powerful you've always been. And it starts with that grace and awareness and coming back to that homeostasis of like, oh, this is my home residence. I know who I am. I'm remembering now. I'm actually remembering my soul. And then I feel like where we are, right now, Sarah, is like this dance, this merge of like the human and the soul. It's like, oh,
Mm,
okay, I remember my soul, and now I'm getting really excited about all the things my soul remembers, but also I'm having this human experience. And so I
mhm.
need to merge the two to be here, to be present, to actually enjoy
Which
here
is what your
now.
human soul
Yes,
journey is all about, right?
yes,
But I
exactly.
want I want to hit on fashion a little bit.
Sure.
You know, we're not saying that people who dress beautifully are all
Oh, no,
fake,
not at all. Oh,
right?
no.
I love, watching the Oscars, the this, that. I mean,
Totally.
Zendaya, I mean, just what is she wearing now? I mean,
Yeah, sure.
she's a beautiful epitome, but it's always Zendaya wearing something, not something wearing Zendaya.
Yes.
And that's the thing, is that whatever you are wearing, whether it be day to day or you're presenting yourself, is it an expression of who you are from the inside out, or
Mhm.
is it a camouflage?
Yeah, is it a mask? I mean,
Hmm.
that's something that worked through in my own life when I was going through my healing journey, was like truly just purging out my entire closet and wardrobe when I became a
Hmm.
mom, because my body changed, obviously, right? And all these things I wore
Hmm.
pre-mom didn't make me feel good anymore. They didn't
Yeah.
feel good on my body, and I had to let go and trust that I was going to find, new wardrobe that I loved how it felt on me. And I do that with a lot of moms and women, especially now. I go through the trauma that is in their clothing and the
Yeah.
energy that is connected, because that's another piece to
Yes.
our stories, to our baggage, to, this matrix of what we've been plugged into. And so, yes, there's nothing wrong. I love dressing up. There's nothing wrong with feeling
Yes.
beautiful and making yourself put together, but it's understanding that it doesn't make you. You're making it shine.
Yeah.
You're the frequency. You're choosing those colors because they
Yeah.
light you up and help you
An
feel extra
expression
good
of
and
you, right?
express you.
Hmm.
Exactly. And so, yeah, it's understanding again the material versus the real. Am I choosing
Yeah.
it because I'm being told to choose it and it's a trend and I'm being told it'll look good or whatever it might be? Or am I choosing it because I'm authentically me and I love how this feels on me, and I know I'm
Yes.
going to show up and be at an even higher level of my, light than I am right now, right? There's a big difference.
And I kind of know your style. I'm very much bohemian. I
Mhm.
love these all kind of peasant blouses and
Yeah.
things like this. I love color. Blue
Yes.
is my color. And
Yes.
I
It is
love
hot.
things that,
Yes.
yeah, I love things that have a flow, because
Yes.
I'm always talking about the fluidity of life. Our
Mhm.
blood, our oxygen, our energy in our body must be in flow. If it isn't, it's in trouble. Our
That's right.
energy and oxygen around us needs to be in flow, or
So,
we're
yeah.
in trouble. So,
Yes.
I also feel that our clothing should be something that allows fluidity either of the body, or
Absolutely.
is the fluidity around the body, because
Yeah.
everything has movement to it and everything needs to express itself
Yes.
freely and flowingly, because
Yes.
that's how we move forward. It
Yeah. Well,
isn't rigid.
exactly. And I would say, as a stylist, and this, I've even brought this into, the work that I do for those that do want to still work with me in the styling capacity, but on a more deeper, frequency level, and with
Yeah.
breath work and all of that I bring in now.
Connective rather
Connected,
than
exactly.
camouflage. Yes.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And that transformation of the
Mm.
inside out versus just the wearing of
Yes.
the wardrobe, right? And I tell everyone, I'm like, it's the four F's. As you have to start, first with the actual fit of something. Like, how does it feel on you? The fit of it is like the first thing. Because
Mm.
if it doesn't fit well, if it doesn't feel good on you, like then you shouldn't be wearing it just because you think, so and so that you saw on the red carpet is wearing it, right? So it's like the fit first. Then after that comes the function. It's like,
Mm.
is this actually functional on me? Can I actually move around? Are you killing yourself, doing what you're doing for one night? Sure, maybe for an event, that's fine. But for your everyday life and what you're
Mhm.
doing, like you need to have that function in order to flow. And then the next one is fabric. It's like,
Mm.
how does it actually feel on you? That fabric that you're wearing. You said you love that flowy feel, right? So it feels
Yes.
good on your body, that energy, that frequency.
Hmm.
You're feeling that throughout the day. And so you're staying in that, homeostasis, even in your clothing. It's like, if we choose the wrong fabric, we know everything is energy. Those frequencies can send you off, and you cannot feel good from something you're wearing. Same with the colors you choose. And then the last F is fashion. It's like, okay, yes, I want to look beautiful and be maybe trending or whatever, but it's like that should be the last piece. You should have
Yes.
answered the other F's first before you decide, this is the outfit. Everything else should be in fluidity so that it is the transformation of the inside out. And that's what I help people with when it comes to that space.
55% when you walk into a room is how you present yourself. And it
Yeah.
isn't the Armani suit. You could be
Mhm.
jeans and t-shirt, but are you confident?
That's
Are
right.
you you?
Hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Because they're going to
It's the
buy you and do
authenticity of
you
you
the
shining.
authenticity of you, right? That 38% is your tone of voice. Are you welcoming?
Yes.
Do they want to hear? It's only 7% is the content. You're never going to get
Sure.
to the content if they haven't bought the other percentage. And
Yeah.
how many people do we see turn up kind of wearing a suit or a dress that's a bit too tight and they're fidgety and uncomfortable
Yeah.
in it? And so people become uncomfortable around you because you're
Mhm.
uncomfortable.
That's right.
So you've got to come in, and that confidence is how you feel in what you are presenting.
Yeah.
But
Well, your confidence is your best accessory. I've said that
it
years in
is.
Hollywood. And then the authenticity is your superpower. And when you
Yes,
bring the two together, that's where the magic happens.
right.
That's where people feel your energy, right? When you walk into a room, you immediately know if you want to be around that person or not. You want to absorb them and be around them and, listen to whatever they're talking about because you're like, oh, I love their energy. I want to be in it. Or you walk into a room and you're like, maybe not. I'm going to go somewhere else, right?
Yes,
It's
yes.
like energy. We feel it, right? So it's like,
And
yes,
that's our signatures.
yes,
And if you've got good energies in a room where everybody is, part of the instruments in that orchestra and we're all harmonically playing together with
yes.
our energies, fantastic. And then you get that one person that comes in that wants to be the soloist but playing a different tune, and we all feel it.
Yeah, you all feel
Right?
it. It's like, wait a second, hold on. Something's
Yeah,
not working here. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's so powerful. And again, it comes back to understanding like how powerful we are as human beings. But again, human beings, not human doings. We all have been
Exactly.
doing for so long. And it's like when you can come back to the being, that's where you find the flow. Like you said, that's where
Yeah.
you find the fluidity. That's where you find the homeostasis, right? And so it's like, how can I ask myself each day when I start my day? How can I start in homeostasis? How can I start in that fluidity and end your day that way as well? That was a huge piece to my practices. And when I went through my awakening and shifting, was like changing those simple routines. When I would wake up, I used to be on my phone the minute I woke up, 30
Mm.
minutes, scroll, doom scroll, then go do something else. And it was like busy, busy, busy the first hour. And it's like,
Yeah.
you didn't even give yourself a chance
Yeah.
to just be. Now it's like a little bit of breath work, meditation, nurse my baby because I'm, nursing my son, be with my girls. We go for a walk. We, ground in nature. We look at the flowers. We smell the flowers, do a little breath work with the flowers. I teach children, smell the flower, blow
Yeah.
out the candle, and just land in the body, right? And those simple things make such a shift in the day and in the being that when things are happening and life is happening and things are busy, you're able to observe and respond and not actually react and be in a triggered space.
You are actually more creative. You have more clarity.
Hmm.
You're more concise because
Yeah,
you are present.
yeah,
This, it's got to be 9 to 5, and some people can do it in 2 hours. And
yeah,
it's like, well, how can a person do it in 2 hours what I've just done in 8 hours? Because you're busy chasing and running around
yeah,
of the have tos rather
right,
than I have the focus and I'm doing, and now
yeah,
I'm gone. And
right,
so, we can be so much more productive in our creativity when we are present and purposeful with what
yeah.
we're doing
And we're
rather
in our
than
body, right? We're
dutiful.
not running from our body,
Right.
right? We're, exactly. You're right. It's like when you're chasing, you're essentially out of your body and
Mm.
you're all over the place and you're swirling in the mind and you're everywhere else. But when you're present and you're creating and you're productive and you have that clarity, it's like, yeah, I'm in the body. I'm here. I'm receiving and I can put all of that energy out and then I can step away and do something else. And exactly. And it's like it was funny. It's funny you say that. I when I went through so much of my awakening and also just motherhood, I was, told, oh, good luck managing, this, as a mom, and then all the things you're doing as an entrepreneur, all the things everyone loves to tell you. And I had to realize, like, oh, I don't need to do it that way with those hours. I don't
Yes.
need to
Yes.
work
Yes.
around that schedule. That's just a matrix program that everyone else has fallen into. And I'm no longer going to subscribe to. I'm going to go with what is in flow and I'm going to go
You'll
with what
be
feels consistent.
selective. What
Yeah,
is to match your energy? Yes.
exactly,
Yeah.
and choose and be intentional. And the more I did that, the more like I got more done and I had more
Yeah.
projects coming in and more, abundance
And more
happening.
energy left over, and it
Yes,
wasn't draining.
completely. And not drained, right?
Yeah.
And not burnt out. And it was like, huh, how interesting. I'm doing less, but I'm getting more and I'm serving more and there's more abundance and oh, this is possible, right? But again,
Exactly.
understanding that how powerful we are and that abundance comes from that fluidity. It comes from that homeostasis, from that presence. And I think
Hmm.
anyone who is, listening to us or watching that's like, okay, well, this is new to me. It's like, yeah, that's great. It's new to you. Start with that it's new to you. Start with that
Mm,
awareness. Start with that true heart center and asking yourself like what is serving me and what isn't. Those sacred boundaries, right? Of like what is working and what is not, because that was something I had to get really clear on in my journey for years of like I gave my power away to all these people.
yeah.
All these energetic cords went out everywhere. Now I need to cut them and move away, and it's like
Your battery
again
just got charged up and was sucked out again.
literally
Yeah.
out. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly, right? And so it's like I have to have sacred boundaries. I have to understand, like,
It's
what is
okay to say no.
yes, it's okay
It,
to say no. And
yeah.
also, like, I can reschedule, or like, this is not in flow today. So we will make it work another day, right? And instead of getting so locked in, we were talking about this before we
Yeah.
started
Be
recording this,
flexible.
the flexibility and the surrender, right?
Yes.
The true, I think so many can say the word surrender, but to actually embody it
Hmm.
and to trust and move into the trust fall of
The
what
allow.
surrender looks like and
Hmm.
allow
Hmm.
and move through and again be fluid and just go with the waves and trust. It may feel uncomfortable because you're not used to it,
Yes.
but so much more will conspire in your favor and work out when you let go and you just, okay, the waves are going to crash, they're going to come, but I'm going to trust. I'm going to stand when they're done, right? And I'm
Mhm.
going to be here and I'm going to be better off instead of me trying to control what is all happening, which is, I believe,
And that is, part of what is your form of meditation. Now, the one thing that is extremely common is we all need to breathe.
oh, yes,
So breath work is something essential, and kind of one of the first things you need to get into is paying attention to your breath, right? But
yes,
how you
yes,
meditate, whether it's a walk in nature, whether it is cross-legged and humming on the floor, whatever is your connection that brings you centered to yourself, that equilibrium of self, home to
yes,
self and divine source of energy. When
yes,
you feel at one with the wisdom from the soul, from the connection and the love of the heart, from the
yes,
spirit's action, the mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. You are aligned. How
yes,
you get
mind,
to that
body,
alignment,
soul.
whatever your form of meditation or style is, that is for you to discover that
Mhm.
place that makes you feel, ah. But breath is one of those things that's going to show you when you go somewhere and it takes your breath away in a good way of, oh, so beautiful. You take a deeper breath when you come back down, right?
Yes,
It's a place that feeds you and nurtures you.
yes.
That when you go to a place that makes you short of breath and you can't grab your breath, exit,
Right,
right?
yeah,
That's
like,
not
it's
for
the
you.
nourishing
Yes.
to your soul. Yes,
Pay attention to your
exactly.
breath because it will tell you if this is right for you, wrong for you, or not just simply now. And be willing to explore
Yes.
how you connect, how,
Oh my
what
God,
is it
I've tried every modality. I'm sure same for you,
exactly
Sarah. When I
until you
first
find
dropped
that
in,
one that fits,
and
right?
that was
Yeah.
it for me with breath work, right? It was like
Yes.
first, it was just for me, breath work was what changed it for me. And then I was
Yeah.
like, I have to get certified in this. I have to bring this to other people. Like, this is amazing. It was
Yes.
like such a drop in, right? But like, it
And
just like,
it's the common denominator. It's
yes.
what everybody needs to do before anything else.
Oh,
Take
yes.
a breath.
Breath. Yes, exactly. Just get conscious in the body and allow yourself to land.
Yes.
And don't be so stuck in the shallow. Be
Yeah.
conscious with your breath. Take that. Like we all know what that feels like. It's like,
I'm
what
an
is the body?
asthmatic. I'm an asthmatic. So I have been since I was two. And I've had, I once had an asthma attack online interviewing a mum of
Oh my.
15 kids.
Wow.
So I had never seen myself have an asthma attack.
Mm-hmm.
I never had an asthma attack in front of a mirror. Here I am on a
Sure.
Zoom, and I'm
Zoom. Yeah.
watching how my body contorts, how everything tightened up, and how my face contorted, and I like this.
Yeah.
And she was just kind of, take your time, dear. It's okay, dear. I'm with you, dear. Now just breathe. And I go like this. Mortified that I'm doing this on a show. Thank God,
Sure.
not live, so I
Sure.
could cut it out. But just I'm mortified that it's happening, and then trying to also capture my breath. So
Mm-hmm.
breath to me has always been something exceedingly important because I know what it's like not to have it,
Not to have
literally.
it. Yeah.
Right? So I
Yeah.
think we take it for granted because from the
We do.
moment we're born, we're breathing,
Yes.
but we forget the type of breath that we have.
Yes.
Do we hold? I find actually, even as an asthmatic, I hold my breath a lot
Yeah.
unawareingly,
Mm.
right? And then there are some people that over sigh.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
what is your breath telling you about your state of being?
Mm-hmm.
Pay
It's so
attention
true.
to the
Pay
breath.
attention. Yeah. Pay attention. Be tuned in to what it feels like and what's going on. Exactly. And, I think that a lot of times too, we don't realize that we're not actually breathing deeply. We think,
Mm,
well, I'm breathing, right? So it's all good. And it's like, well, most of us are shallow breathing. Most of us are not
yes.
taking that deep oxygen and having that connection, that flow. And it's like, this is our sacred life force. Like God,
Hmm.
the divine source, gave this to us. This is our sacred life force. This is what you need when you come into this world. The first thing obviously we do when we watch a baby, take their first breath. And it's obviously the last thing we do, physically when we move on, from this, planet. And it's like,
We're nothing without our breath.
that's right, exactly. Like we're,
Literally.
we're literally dust, right? And so
Absolutely.
like understanding that exactly that tuning in of just the breath will show you. It will show you. And I have to tell you, when it comes to breath work, I actually like I've been trying to think for myself. I'm like, okay, I need my soul to tell me what another word is because I actually feel like there's actually a lot of resistance to the word breath work because it
Mm,
has the word work in it.
yes.
I've seen this over and over again with clients and community and people that come around me, and I'm like, just don't even think about it. Just it's just breathing. It's just
Yes.
conscious breathing. It's getting deep into your body and allowing your body to be that divine vessel that it is and speak to you. Like you said, you started to notice, like, oh, I hold. Okay,
Yeah.
what is that about? Right. And like the body is always wanting to show you and teach you when you're willing to listen and not suppress it and,
Mm,
take something or do something or, make an excuse for what's happening. And you just tune in and you just breathe and then you start to come back to your heart center and it's like, oh, okay, well, that was noise. That wasn't true. And that was like one of the really profound things for me that happened when I was starting to move into breath work was, oh, this conscious breath is showing me like that chaos actually really isn't my chaos. Or like, oh,
yeah.
that situation happening right now, I don't really need to respond to that. I can just be where I am, right? And the more we start to have these shifts happen, the more it's easier to also drop in each day. The more we
Yes.
start to train our system to know this is my homeostasis. My homeostasis is love. My
Mm,
homeostasis is calm. It is worthiness. It is abundance, right? We start to learn, how authentic we truly are, and that is actually the true north of who we are. The body can drop in that much faster and deeper, and we don't need all the things to drop in. It can just be that simple first breath before we even
mm,
drop into actual breath work, right? So that was a big piece of my journey, and I know I shared with you before, I was on your show of like, the big moment for me, like the big aha of like, oh, this is profound was when, 2020, I was pregnant with my second daughter, Arlie, and obviously the world was chaos. Talk
mhm.
about combustion and
Something
overload.
we don't want to remember.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness, right. Literally, we've all blocked it out. There's so much trauma underneath all that, a whole other conversation. But, it was like such a crazy time. And I was like, finally come out of the postpartum depression and anxiety. Finally, had found this authenticity of Ali. I'm in a good place. And now, boom, the world is shaking. And
Mm,
I'm like, whoa, I'm just trying to find my ground. And breath work did that for me. The
mm,
mindset work had stopped working for me. And I couldn't understand why the mindset work wasn't working. And it was because I wasn't connected
yeah.
to my body. Even though I had done so much work and healing, the body was still holding so much trauma and things I hadn't dealt with. And so once I got into the body and I was able to start moving that out and moving through it, it was like, we're
Yeah.
landing here now. This is the mind body soul connection. And now I can release and now I can, have that radical faith that I needed and that homeostasis. And so fast forward to having Arlie during 2020, I was told I probably wouldn't have a VBAC because I had a C-section with my first daughter. I knew from doing my own research that I could absolutely do it. And I trusted and did the work that I would. And I did. And I remember, in the hospital when it was just pure chaos and trying to stay in a calm state, being able to return over and over again to that meditative state of breathing and really just connecting within and hearing that I was safe and everything was going to be fine. And then when she got stuck at the end, the way my first daughter did, because our body remembers and it
Yes.
holds,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to process that trauma literally in that live moment. I was so grateful that I not only had the awareness of what was happening, but that I also had the tool to then use to say, okay, I just need everybody to leave. I need to drop in. And I did, and I breathed through it, and she unlocked and was able to release, and she came through, and I had my B back. And that
Right.
moment for me, Sarah, was like the aha, there's something
The
really
epitome,
manifesting
the
about this.
epitome. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It was like I went from that, that fight or flight for so long in my life and that fear, where in that moment I could have switched to that easily, obviously, what was going on in the world. And it was like, oh no, I found even more peace. I found even more homeostasis, more truth. And it was, of course, being a woman when you give birth, it's such a spiritual experience. And I felt like it was even more heightened spiritually because I was in such a deep connection to source and I
Well,
received
you realize
so
it
much.
wasn't just your body in it,
Yes,
your heart,
yes.
soul, and spirit was in it as well. And it was
Yes.
there with you as a
Mhm.
companion to help you through it. I want to hit on relationships because an awful lot of people who start taking this journey are in a relationship and their spouse isn't always happy to
Mhm.
see this transition. You're not the woman I married. No, I'm evolving, aren't
Yeah.
you? And for some people it's intimidating, for some people it's enlightening, and the thing is we have to take it anyway,
Yes.
right? And clearly with you, your husband it was is and was very supportive of this.
Yes.
Did he take his own journey simultaneously? Was he inspired by yours? Was he on his
Yeah,
before
good
yours? I
question.
mean,
Yeah,
how
no, good
was that
question.
working?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, he's still going through an awakening right now. He's still very new to his path, and he resists at times, and at times he leans in. And I love this question because honestly, it was funny when I was going through mine. I was convincing myself, oh, I need to find a new man who's spiritual and who gets what I'm about. He doesn't understand me anymore, and I was so wrong. And I was so, I just again ego. I was so checked. Source was like, oh, nope, that's not it, and it was like, oh, he's actually helping me grow. The
Hmm.
more he actually has a triggered response, the more he actually doesn't stay embodied, the more it actually checks me to be like, where are you in your journey? Are you going to lash back out? Are you going to massively react? Or are you going to come to a space where you're going to bring it to a centered homeostasis and say, hey, I didn't really love how that happened. Can we talk about what just transpired and bring everybody back to grounding and have that conversation? And we've been able to do that more and more in our relationship. But I am very blessed that he does follow me through all my crazy, as you'll call it, paths. He's very much, just my rock when it comes to, I mean, we left California, honestly, just from a meditation that I received that we needed to move. And he was like, all right, if that's, where your heart is and you don't feel like we should be here anymore, then off we go. He's just very supportive in my dreams and all that I, seek and I see. And so I know there's a big part of him that is more intuitive than he realizes or lets on, because he wouldn't just, go with all these things, of course, right, that come to me. But I really do feel it's helped me so much to evolve even deeper, because the more he's kind of going through it, the more I have to hold more space, the more I
Hmm.
have to be embodied in all the things we're talking about. And also like have compassion and empathy when there are moments where I honestly am like, oh, how do you not see it? But I have to just be like, no, you've been there, you were asleep, you were there. How do you want to help him walk into it? How do you
And
want
he has to see it from his lens, not
Yes,
yours.
not mine. And that was a
Yes.
huge piece too, Sarah. It was like the
Yeah.
whole wanting to see it from my lens and finally
Mm-hmm.
being like, oh, nope, I'm just going to pray on it. I'm going to release it. I'm going to surrender
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to trust that it's going to happen. And I think our children, of course, too, all three of my children are so connected. They're so tuned in. So I feel like they're part of our awakening process even deeper, just because the things they say, the things they
Mm.
see, like it's just, I mean,
Things that they're around,
yes,
both parents in
yes.
progress,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
It's just it all, brings that relationship right up so much. And so yeah, it's just the learning, right? Of like understanding that even though you've maybe been with this person for a long time, like it'll be 12 years, for me, Memorial
Hmm.
Day weekend for my, marriage with my husband. And we've been through so much, but I feel like over these last years we've grown so much together and our communication has become more sacred and we become more connected. And I would
Yeah.
honestly never have thought that when I was in my awakening, to be honest and vulnerable, because I was like, so like, who am I and what's happening? And, I was so confused. I couldn't even tell him what was really going on with me. And he just knew I was in something, and I was like, wow, are we gonna get through this? Like, this is intense. And so if you're in that in a relationship, it's also understanding like, Of course, not if something is, obviously, violent or something. But if,
Right. Yes.
well, you just want to say that. But if it's just, miscommunications and it's just having a hard time because you are evolving and you are shifting and they're not there in that journey, like you chose each other as souls for a reason. They're part of that puzzle piece. You both are, again, being the medicine to one another and
Mm,
understanding how that journey works, right? And so I've just leaned in. At first I was fighting it all the time. It was total resistance, which I feel like, again, nervous system, it's like resist what we resist persists. But it was like, no, come back to homeostasis, come back to your heart space. What does your heart know? It knows how much you love him. It knows how good you have this together, what you've created, how sacred it
mm.
is. And even though you may not see things the same and your lens may not be the same, that's okay. You're going to trust because you chose each other. And so yeah, there's times where sometimes I'm like, still, how do you not you see some things but you don't see that? And I'm just like, okay, then you're just not meant to see that. And that's okay. I can
Exactly.
see it,
You
I
know,
can see it, and you don't
there's
have to.
a wonderful drawing which often put out, and it's of a man and of a woman, and then together the face merges. And I
Mm,
say that face that's merged with the two faces cannot be strong unless you two are individually strong
mhm.
within yourselves.
Yeah,
You are bringing them his, her, or him, whichever the pattern is, you are bringing your individuality to the us. And the
yeah,
us merge like two fingers, two hands locked. And when you pull, it gets stronger and stronger. But
yeah,
if either side are in flux or are out of sync, or in that self-lie of societal expectation and not their inner truth, then it's going to have the us suffer.
yeah.
And
It's
so
like we're,
it's,
yeah, hmm,
this I want somebody to completely know, you want somebody to complement you,
yeah.
right? And if you
You want
want
someone
to find love,
to
you must
you.
be the love. You must be
Yes,
the love because that's
yes,
the love you're putting out vibrationally that somebody is going to match. And if it's like not love here, but love that is willing to grow for all
yes,
things in life, then you're
yes.
going to find a love that's willing to grow with you. And as
Hmm.
you grow, you lock and you become the us, but you never lose your you.
Exactly. And that's what I was gonna say. It's like when you find that person and you're on this journey, it's like you are authentically you and they love you through all parts of you. They may not understand all part. Like, I mean, I know my husband, when he met me again, like I was just in the height of, Hollywood. I was
Mm.
doing Botox and fillers. I was in red bottom shoes. I was a totally different woman than you see in front of you, today. And so for him, I'm sure there were many times where it was like, who is this person that I'm with? You know what I mean? And
It's
rightfully
red
so.
flip-flops now, not
Right,
red
it's
bottom
literally, he's
tops.
like, yeah, and like doesn't care if she has makeup on or not. Like what that's unheard of. You wouldn't leave the house without, having
Yeah.
something on your face, like, but it's like, but he also sees like I'm the happiest I've ever been and
Yes.
the most peaceful. And I think that's the most important piece. And that energy, that vibration is vibrating into my home. And
Mm.
that is coming into my husband, into my marriage, into my children, right? And that is what the shift says. And I tell this to all my clients. I'm like, when you regulate to your homeostasis and your heart resonance, you co-regulate what's going on in your environment and
Hmm.
you will start to see the shifts
Yeah.
and will start to see the growth and the evolving happen. So it's you who's holding that space, right? And then creating that ripple effect, which is why it's so powerful now for us all to be doing this work because it's going to continue to ripple into the collective.
And we are all in this.
Yes,
And
we are. We
what
are
we have to
all in
understand,
this. Yes.
it is for us.
Yes.
This is for us. At the same time, the better the us we are, the more we are sharing with the
Yeah.
collective and the
Yeah.
more we are rising together.
Yes, the
So,
more we rise, the more we're also giving them permission, not that they need it, to rise. The more they
yes.
see us embodying all this and doing this, the more they say, "Oh, I could do that too, huh?" It's like it's just this permission slip that we don't actually need to receive from one another that higher vibrational energy of like, "Oh, I vibrate there too. I just forgot about that.
Yeah.
I'm remembering, right? You're remembering, so you're bringing that remembrance to everyone else, and that's really what we're here for. We're here, of course, on the human experience, but our souls are reminding us to remember who we truly are as divine souls.
And if we keep attracting that same person that's not good for us or people, then
Right.
it's not them, it's what you are attracting. Be
Hmm.
careful what you seed, what you water, and what you nurture. Because if
Yeah.
it's a field of weeds, you planted them, darling. Right?
It's so true. It's so true. It's like what is being reflected back at you. It's true when you start to really actually speak your truth and you start to really, put yourself out there, you will see who comes around you. You will see the energy of, what you are attracting, and you'll know, I am rising because my soul tribe is rising, my clients are rising, the communication, the relationships I'm having are rising. If they're not, yeah, it's a check-in, right? It's not a
Hmm.
judgment, it's not a shaming, it's a
No.
check-in. I get checked all the time. And it's like,
Yes.
okay, what's the check? What's going on right now? Let's take a scan, mind, body, spirit. Where are we? And then let's move through, right? And there's always weeds to pluck, and
Mm,
there's always shedding to happen, especially right
yes.
now where we're in, a very intense time between solar flares and
Yeah.
full moon. There's so much happening.
Retrogrades and
Oh
everything
my God,
else,
retrogrades,
political
everything. We
grades
have some
and
kind of event happening. My girlfriend was telling me in June 3rd, like 8 planets are going to align for the first time in like hundreds of years. Like we've got a lot going on in the ethers and in the planetary. And so it's understanding, right? We came here for this. Like we were chosen for this divine time. And so it's like, enjoy the ride, but also like
yes.
enjoy the ride at your highest self. Enjoy the ride at the highest vibration. You deserve that wholeheartedly.
Why do people like roller coasters? It's the up, down, right? And it's like if you don't have the ups and downs, if you don't have those things that kind of shake you up, then you become plateau,
Yeah.
right? What do they call it? Flatlining.
Flatlining. Yeah,
Right.
you
So,
don't want to
and
be. Yeah.
I don't want to live a flatline life. I did for a
Yeah.
while, and
Oh,
it
so did I.
ain't fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to
Right.
have such a roller coaster that I'm leaving my stomach up in the air every
Oh no,
time.
me either. No, I'm good with that
So,
too. I'm like,
I
let's
just,
not, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
ebbs and flows,
yes,
ebbs and flows. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. The rhythm and the flow of life, and I don't want
And
the
our breath,
extremes.
right? That
Mm.
our breath is the ebbs and
Yes,
flows, right? The deep breath into the belly, into the chest, and out. It's an ebb and
yeah,
flow, right? And so it's like that vibration, living in that. Yes.
yeah. There's always a way. We've just got to pay attention as to what it is. Now,
Yes.
you have a giveaway, your app, 10% off breath and be
Yes.
come
Breathe
up with.
and be. Yes.
Hmm. So there, but I'm not putting the code on the page. This is for people who are listening, and you can say how many people can get it. So we're going to come up with a word that they then can contact you and say the word because they listen to the show. So
Amazing. I love it.
what word would you like them to use?
Oh, I'm like, okay, what was our, there were so many good themes of our conversation today. I didn't expect to be so put on the spot. Let's see. Let me just dial into my spirit for a second here and just kind of see home. That's what just came through. Okay.
Excellent. So if you wish to have that 10% off, then you reach out to you where, my love?
Oh, they can reach out to me via my website, alilevine.com. You can follow me on all my socials at Ali Levine Design. Feel free to message me there and tell me you heard me on this amazing show with Sarah, and I will be happy to give you that code and connect with you. And yeah, I love to connect with others. So just find me at my, socials, honestly. Instagram and TikTok are kind of the main places I spend my time, but I'm on all the platforms. I have my own show that Sarah's coming on called Awakening with Ali very soon. And so, yeah, just find me in all the places. Wherever you search Ali Levine, you'll find me. My app is Breathe and Be. And, I love to help others truly find the authenticity of their
Mm,
self and their soul. I feel it's so important now. And I know Sarah feels the same of like, you deserve to live a thriving life. So if
yes.
this is calling you, if this is calling your soul and you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to start or I'm ready to learn. Come find me. You'll find me, message me home, and we'll get you started on your journey of coming home to yourself.
And registering that your breath is your life.
Yes,
It is actually the conductor of your life.
it is. It's
And
the
then you
sacred
can
life
make
force.
most beautiful music if you learn how to conduct your breath,
Yeah, oh,
right?
I love that. It's so true. Once you learn how to work with your breath, your life shifts.
Mhm,
And I'm telling you, as someone who lived in fight or flight, not even just fight or flight, but someone who lived in never taking a conscious breath. My dad
mm,
used to joke, Ali, just breathe, just
mm,
one moment to breathe. And I'd be like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I had no idea how different life would look
mhm,
doing the actual work to, like you said, allowing that conducting, allowing that homeostasis, the body to be in flow. Because the more we pour that into the body, the more everything, our nervous system sends signals all throughout, and everything knows to have more happiness, more joy, more abundance, and just more fluidity. So yeah,
And
it's
more focus,
life's work and more
more
focus,
reason, more
more
purpose,
clarity.
right?
Yes,
Yeah,
all of it, right?
yeah.
All of it, all of who you are as a divine soul. So yeah, come find me at Ali Levine Design.
And
Ali,
Ali is ALI, folks, not a double Ley.
thank you.
So
Yes, ALI.
ALI,
Yes,
Livy,
yes,
Levine, just to make sure we
yes.
get the spelling right there.
Thank you for
And
that.
if you wish that 10% off, then remember the magic word is home.
Yes.
And you can drop her a line and mention you listen to her on the show and that home. You would like that percentage off. You have a newsletter here as well that people can sign up to.
Yes, I have a free
And
newsletter, and when they just sign up, they actually will also get a beautiful breathwork activation sent to their inbox when they sign up as a little gift from me. And it's a great way to drop in and have an activation of gratitude. It's one of the ones
mm,
I love to use as my daily practice, so I've made it one of my free gifts.
and I think, quite honestly, I wake up every morning, thank you, I'm awake.
Yes.
I don't know what my day is going to be,
Hmm.
but I woke. I
Yes.
woke to another day.
Thank you for my breath. I do the same thing every
Yes.
morning. I'm like,
Yeah.
thank you for today. Thank you for letting me take my breath today. Thank you for letting my body be, online
Mhm.
and working, and just, yeah, those simple like declares and decrees and affirmations of like just gratitude of like, thank you for all that is happening. And another one I love to always say is like, I expect miracles today. I expect miracles, big and small, and I recognize them all and just allow those miracles to come into your life. And then I take a few deep breaths
But a
after.
step further, I
Yes.
am a miracle. What am I meant to do today?
Love that.
Right?
Yes.
Because we're all here. I think one of the most beautiful, meaningful things is to find your meaningful purpose. You
Mhm,
found it in breath. Other
mhm,
people find it in whatever their beautiful instrument is. And the thing is to play that instrument to the best of your ability. But when we do come together as an orchestra and we harmonically play together in all of our strengths, look how transcending we are as a
yes.
collective. And it's like, know what your instrument is. Do not compare, do not compete,
Mhm.
right? You know,
Collaborate over
collaborate.
competition. Collaborate
Yeah.
over competition. My angels
Yes.
made that very clear to me at the beginning of 2024. This year, going forward, was going to be the shift of the collaboration over competition, and I am so here for it and so ready because I have lived in competition for so long in the holiday
Yes.
space and was exhausted and burnt out by it. And I'm so glad to see so many coming together and saying, "How can I lift you up? How can I support you?" and vice versa. How can we be to the medicine to one
Mhm.
another? So that we can all uplift each other. So yes, yes, yes.
I mean, I knew coming into 2024, and I came into it with the RSV virus. So, it wasn't a
Yes.
great start. My beautiful grandchildren are so generous with what they share, with the etc. But I also like Chinese New Year because I used to call it second chance at New Year. But I
Mhm.
just knew, it's the dragon year, it was a number 8 year. It just all the energies are
Big year,
completely
big year.
aligned. And
Uh-huh.
for me, it's been 4 books being produced in 5 months. We're now about to produce another book going into the next book that I'm
Amazing.
producing. And it's just like I moved,
Yeah.
into my forever home. And it's just like everything is just come together.
Hmm.
The energies are about if you have been seeding and planting for a while, harvest is here.
Yeah.
And if
Mhm.
you are beginning to seed and harvest, this is a good time. Check your seeds.
Yes. Check
The
them
land is
and
ready
start to
for you to
plant new
plant.
ones and
Yeah.
maybe pluck some and replant. And
Yes.
yeah, and especially with where we are, today, recording on the full moon, May 23rd. I mean, this full moon is all about that. It's about,
Yeah.
not just the letting go, but the expansion, the replanting, the uprooting. So
Hmm.
much of boundaries being, essentially taken down so you can expand. And yeah, I mean, we're going to see, I really believe going into summer, so much of this harvest and this expansion as we see kind of a lot of collapse. There's going to be a lot of rebuilding and expansion going on in our lives simultaneously because that's how we're.
Well, we sometimes have to see the collapse for the renewal,
Yes, we
and on
do.
top of this, I
Yes.
have my son getting married as well.
Oh my
So,
goodness. Congrats. How
like,
exciting.
and he's turning 40 this year. So, and we've got
Wow.
two 40s in the family, and I've got the big 70, and it's just like,
Oh my gosh, I
it's
love
just like,
it.
oh,
We just had
what
my
what a great
mother-in-law's
year.
70, did a huge celebration. And yeah, it's so It's so special. I know oh, I should mention that. I'm doing my first retreat. If you want to be with me in person in Boones, North Carolina, you can find that all on my information. July 12th is my birthday, and so I'm hosting it July 12th to the
Wonderful.
14th in the mountains. So it's actually called the Expansion Retreat. So, if you're
Mm.
wanting to be in person and wanting to experience this drop in that we're speaking about and breath work and being guided, I'd love for you to join me in person in the mountains.
Mountains, trees, and for me, breeze, water, and trees are so important. I have
Yes,
trees surrounding me.
I love it.
Water
Yes,
is
I have
just
trees
over
on my
there.
window too.
I
Yes,
have the
yes.
breeze all the time, the birds tweeting, at night and in the morning, and it's like,
Beautiful.
I'm in sanctuary. I've been
I love
asking
it.
for a sanctuary for so long. I have my sanctuary. So
You have it. Oh,
yeah,
I love
now it's
that.
just
That's
about
my
those
favorite
branches
space.
dancing and branching out, which is when you get here, folks, when you get here to that point where all the struggle. Now, this is the thing, you don't have to suffer anymore. You've
Mhm.
chosen not to suffer. It can still be a bit of a struggle while you're realigning, recalibrating,
Yeah.
rediscovering, and looking into who, what, and why. The overnight sensation that took 10 years to get there. This for me has been 12 years in the making. But
The longest overnight I've ever
yeah,
been on. Yes.
exactly. Who was asleep all that time, right? Yeah.
Right?
And
Exactly.
but when it comes together, it is so worth it.
It is.
And
It's
that's
so
when we
beautiful.
truly
It's so
understand the value
magical.
of
And
life. Yeah.
yes, and you are so worth it. Exactly.
Yes.
And it's like when you get to have that harvest and you get to start to see everything that you've been working on, it
Mm.
just feels so good. And exactly, it's like just celebrating that too. I said that to a client this morning. I'm like, celebrate how far you've come. I know you're not all the way there yet, and that's okay, but celebrate how far you've come. You chose not to struggle. You chose not to
Yes.
stay in survival mode. You chose the unconventional. You chose to be a leader in this space, and you should be celebrating yourself. And
And
if you're
it's
new
not
on the
over
journey,
until we leave this body, right? It's a
that's right,
discovery every
exactly.
day.
Yes, exactly. And if you're new to this and you're saying now you're done struggling, now you're done being
Yeah.
survival mode, celebrate yourself for that now because you chose to awaken and to do that now. And so it's all divine. It's all part of our own plan, our own sacred plan.
And as you awaken, you're going to realize a lot of mistakes you've made in your life.
Yeah.
Please do not
Yes.
go down the persecution, right?
No.
You did what you knew based on the knowledge of the
I
time.
would say I just pulled a card and this is what came through. Divine timing.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
It's like so
forgiveness
real.
of what you have done in the past because you didn't know any better. It's now you know better, you will do better. Right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
do not carry the past with you on things that you did or felt. It is now to look at it, take that inner child, give it a hug,
Yeah.
hug yourself and say, I'm here for you now. You're not alone on this journey. The
Right.
soul and the heart is with you. All
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
Let that love grow.
Yes. And breathe that in, breathe that
Yes.
love in, and breathe out
Mm.
what you are letting go of. Move
Yeah.
the trauma out of the body, move the
I
story,
release.
release. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah. Let go of what does not serve you. Breathe in all the love and the possibilities of what today will bring. So it's so exciting when you do that.
It is.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing, Ali. I know
Thank
we
you so
did a
much for
dance
having
around our
me.
scheduling, but we maybe it was
It was
meant to
all
be
worth it.
under
It's
this
all
full
good.
moon today.
Yes, yes, yes. All worth it. Honored to be here. And I hope, anyone who listened or watched just inspired something in them and empowered them. And it awakened something inside of their soul so that they can be ignited to their true, authentic self.
Yeah. Even just the acknowledgement of your breath is your conductor, right? And just learn to
Yeah.
conduct it well, to follow the flow of the music of life.
Yeah.
All right. And just to pay attention to your breath.
Mhm.
When you're holding it, when you're sighing too much,
Mhm.
when it's
Pulling it in and you're constricting. Yeah.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. Just start off by paying attention because when you start focusing on something and start caring, right, you start allowing things to happen. So
Yeah.
step out of yourself and everything that you've known, step into breath and let it show you the path forward.
Yes. Oh, amen to that.
Thank you so much, Ali. And to
Thank
everyone
you,
else out there,
Sarah.
remember, just breathe. It isn't just your life force for your body. It's your soul force, it's your heart force, it's your spirit force. Your breath is that conductor of life. Let it show you how to be in flow and follow your beautiful, meaningful purpose in life and let everything else go. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.